Welcome to the Life Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele and June and June Colson. A couple of clean comedians here to support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. They'll talk about highs and lows and some traumatizing shows. So get ready, get set, let's go!
Welcome to the podcast brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network. I'm your host, June Colson, Junebug, aka Rudolph the reindeer. Welcome to our Christmas episode. Merry Christmas, Michele. Merry Christmas. You're a little elf. Look at you.
Well, I couldn't decide between the elf outfit, like the elf shirt,
Yes.
or my crazy sweater vest that a grandma would wear. So I
Yes.
put them both on.
Look, I was worried because I got jingle bells too. Okay, that wasn't probably the most appropriate dance that I did. I'm going to go back and forth. The Jingle Bell Rock. Okay, there it is. Look at
Rudolph.
this. Would you look at this? I just realized it's poor little, sorry, he can't see. Okay, so for those of you listening and not looking, right now Michele is dressed in an elf shirt with a Christmas sweater that has jingle bells and snowflakes and gingerbread cookies. She has her Santa hat on, and she's just rocking it out in Christmas style. You also have one of those. Show me that little. That's an instrument, like, right?
Yeah.
So we listen. I think my dog just saw that I'm a reindeer. Oh no!
It sounds like it. No, it's a jingle bell thing, So jingle bells, the things that you would give to the kids at school for their Christmas show. Everybody has it, and they all get to stand there. That's what this is. It's a stocking stuffer. I absolutely love it.
Oh, I could put that in my kid's stocking. Totally. That's what a teenage boy and a guy in his 20s would love. Just some little jingle bells.
Now, you save this when you have grandkids, and then you give noisy toys.
Yes.
That take no batteries.
Listen.
And you send them on their way.
Yeah.
So then the parents constantly get to just hear that.
I did that.
Rue the day you were born.
Yes, I did that. I did that to my sister because she's older than me, and she was, we've always picked at each other, and so she had the first grandbaby in the family, and so everything that I bought her was noisy toys and boxes of 500 pieces and that kind of thing, and like the Duplo blocks that took up like the entire room. And listen,
hey, those are awesome.
They are awesome, but she didn't forget, like everything that she bought me for my children had assembly required and came without the batteries. And like it was, she's pretty fantastic. She didn't forget.
With our first baby, when he had like noisy toys, like pianos or whatever, we would like you do as a new parent, we would put new batteries in it. And then we would be upset that the kid was playing with it. So then we, by the second kid, we're like, oh, don't buy new batteries. We're saving money and saving our ears. So the kid can still play and pretend that it's doing something, but we don't have to hear all the noises that comes from it. Like the light up things, the beep, boop, bop, bop.
Yes.
We don't have to hear that, but they can push on them all the time and no noise.
I feel like that's very organic parenting. That's what I tell people. We're organic parents. We're not giving our children toys that play with themselves. We give our children toys that sparks their imagination. But really, it was because batteries were expensive and we were broke. So you were right. Like
pretty much.
But I could pretend that. Okay, so speaking of Christmas gifts, VanDusen. Let's talk about, I'm not sure if the story you told me the other day, if I found it as brilliant parenting, if I found it as disturbing and probably the reason your kids might need therapy in the future. but also like it's a great way not to spoil your children. So tell me about these beautiful gift boxes that you would give your kids.
Okay, so there was a couple of years that I was so excited when I bought stuff on Black Friday. I'm like, oh, they're going to love this. They're going to love this. And I couldn't wait to give it to them. so I would give it to him, and then I'm like, I look at the checkbook, I'm like, oh, we actually can't get them anything for Christmas now because I got this, and then I gave it to him. So for Christmas, I would wrap the empty boxes, the boxes that the stuff came in, but now it's empty, and we would give that. Now, mind you, there was a couple of times that like we let the kids pool all their money together, and we added some, and they bought an Xbox, and
Mm.
then and then we would wrap that box, but they didn't know Ross and I were actually playing the Xbox for weeks in our bedroom
Nice. Nice.
before Christmas. So they opened that box, it was empty. Like, what is it? It's because that night, Christmas Eve, Ross went ahead and hooked it up to the living room one, so they were able to play it that morning.
Yeah.
But they
It
opened it,
it
was
was
like, where'd
ready.
it go? They were so mad at us. And okay, and we've also they really wanted a phone, like cell phones. It was really big
Yes.
in their
Yeah.
schools, and we're like, you're 10. You don't need a cell phone. I'm sorry.
Right.
No 10-year-old needs a cell phone. But we wanted them to have a cell phone, but we didn't. So I got the store models, and we wrapped those, and everybody, they're like, oh, we got a phone, and then they're trying to make it work, and then they realized there was no battery in it, there was no guts to the phone. It was just, at this point, a play phone, but it was a real phone. It was just a display phone. So
So it was connected. It had no service. So did they go to school and pretend like they were talking to people on their phone? Like, were they
no.
posers? Did they like just at least like, act like, because you've seen where somebody's pretending they're talking on the phone and then suddenly the phone actually rings and you're like, yeah, busted. You were, but their phone was never going to ring. They could have pretended to be talking to, their agent or whatever at 10 years old. And like, did they use it? Did they take it anywhere?
No, they did not. They were really mad, really, really mad that year. So, we but we did actually have a phone for them, for the oldest. And so we did end up actually dialing, because it was one of those phones where you prepaid it and you put some
Yes.
money on it. So we
Yeah.
had that all set up because he was going to go on some school trip, and we didn't want
Mm.
him to be somewhere where we couldn't contact him.
Right.
And so we did have one box that was still under the tree, and, what was a plant? We had a house plant that looked like a tree, so it wasn't really a tree, but it was there, and we had it ringing, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. What is it?" And Philip's like, "Is this mine? Is this mine?" And he's shaking it. Like, "Stop shaking it. Just
Yes.
open it." So at that
Yes.
point, they're like, "Is this real? Is it?" Yeah, and then we rang it again, and they're like, "It's real." But the rest of them were very upset with us.
But the little ones, they just got fake phones. So that it
They
kind of
got
reminds me of like my son Ty. He when he got an Xbox, he's 4 years older than his brother, and when he got an Xbox, I remember going upstairs and Ty was playing a video game, and there was little Trey sitting beside him, and Trey was just "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh," and he was just doing it, and you could see like two fighters fighting and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, like he's really good. And then I realized Ty had taken the batteries out of the controller. The little brother the whole time thought he was playing, right? And he wasn't, but Ty let him like be a part of the moment, but didn't actually like let him be a part of the moment. It was so cute. And sometimes I feel like that's how I live life. I feel like God looks down and he's like, look at her. And she's like, I'm controlling it. I've got this. I'm doing this. And the whole time the angels are like, look at her. Look at her. She ain't got nothing. Like
Actually, that's how I played with my kids. They, like that Mario game, I try to make it jump, so I'm always,
Mhm.
lifting it up, and they just look at me like, "Yeah, you're doing great, mom." No, my little character was always that one, hitting itself against the wall. It wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
because I was just pushing all the buttons, and yeah. So my kids let me be a part of the game too.
Yeah.
So
I just I just decapitated Rudolph. I guess,
wait,
hopefully.
okay, hold
Yeah.
up. What is that leg
Listen.
behind you?
Oh,
You have a leg behind
yes.
you. And for those
Yes.
that are listening, I'm telling you, you have to actually check out this episode on YouTube. What is? that's from a movie, right? What is
Yeah,
that?
that's from A Christmas Story. That's from A Christmas
Oh my
Story. You remember
gosh.
the fragile when the box comes in and the wife and the husband have a
Fragile.
whole fragile. So it says fragile on the box, but as they're reading it, they're
Oh,
going fragile, ooh,
fragile.
fragile, and then he's like, it must be French, and they're all like excited because they don't know what's in the box, and it's just an iconic thing from that movie, and so my husband and I, some of our employees had like pitched in together, and that's what they gave us one year at a Christmas party. But the best part is I live in like, a fancy neighborhood with a HOA and all of that stuff. And the first year that we lived in this neighborhood, I put it in the living room, and we lived at the bottom of a cul-de-sac. And I put it in the living room because that's kind of where it is, the front room in the
Yeah.
movie. And one of the neighbors commented on the Facebook page or whatever of how tacky. I also had a Santa Claus in a bathtub. Like he was a blow up, a big Santa Claus, and he was like little bubbles, and
Where was he?
He was in the front yard. He was, a big Santa Claus and so
Okay.
there was a comment about tacky Christmas decorations and a naked Santa and a naughty leg lamp, and I'm like, that's me. So what I did, Michelle, is I did take the leg lamp down from the living room,
Yeah.
but because we live at the bottom of the cul-de-sac, I realized that the people at the top of the hill, they couldn't see that leg lamp. So I moved it up to the
Oh.
bonus room, which was the highest point in our house. And so, okay, so since then we moved from that home. We lived somewhere else for a little bit, but we've moved back into the neighborhood. And now I'm not down in a cul-de-sac. I'm on the main road in our subdivision. And I was so excited. Like first day, it's in the, this beautiful leg sits in the dining room window. So now everybody who comes to our neighborhood gets to enjoy my leg lamp. And honestly, probably 99% of the people in the neighborhood think it's cute
Yeah.
or funny. They get it. There's always one,
I
there's always that one.
Yeah, so okay, so I made you the only picture here so people could
Yes.
see the leg lamp a
Yes.
little more clear.
Yes.
And then why do you have tiny little people at the bottom of the leg?
Listen, this is so good. This is so good. Okay. So my sister-in-law, Emily, I adore
Yeah.
her. She's a super cool person. And
So shout out to Emily.
shout out to Emily.
Emily.
So one year, we went to the dollar store and we were getting some stuff right before we had Christmas in Bowling Green here.
Yeah.
And I saw these characters, these frightening. Okay, for those of you guys who are like, they're two little choir people. I think this is a girl. This is obviously a girl with her pigtails. One of them looks like it has the mange. Okay. It's the most frightening little choir people I've ever seen. And these were for sale at the dollar store in my town. So I snuck them into my basket and bought them. And I put them in a gift bag. And I gave them to Emily in front of everybody. And she's so kind. She would never like say anything. And she opens and she's like, oh, okay, thank you. And I go, aren't they beautiful?
Crazy
I
Aunt
just like,
June.
I've never seen little caroling statues before. And I just knew you would love them. And she was like, I do. Thank you. And then I let her sit in that for, probably 5 or 6 minutes, which was an eternity for her. And finally, I just busted out laughing. And I can't probably use the language she may have used that day. She was like, don't ever do that to me again. Don't ever do that to me again. What was I supposed to do with that? Like, she's like, I was in the back of my mind thinking, these are hideous. What am I going to do with these things? So that was probably 10 or 12 years ago, right? And
Yeah.
so
So why do you have them? Like how did you
the next year
Yeah.
they're wrapped up in a gift for me under the Christmas tree. And she's like, these better not show up at my house again. So then the following year, she lives 2.5 hours from my house. I made my new neighbor, her sister lived in the same town, same subdivision. So I
Okay.
had her son sneak and deliver these to their front porch. And this went back and forth for years. And then suddenly they just disappeared. So 5 years ago, these beautiful Christmas carolers, they disappeared. And look, its foot just fell off. So 5 years ago, they disappeared. And I was like, whatever happened to those? And she goes, oh, I think you had them last. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure you had them last. And they just disappeared off the planet. Well, they built a new house. And when she moved in, she found them this year. So, so for 5 years, they've been out of our mind. They haven't been in play for 5 years. And then I came home from a gig in out of town. I came home and these stinking freaky characters were sitting in my closet waiting for me. She found it, gave it to my son, and they've shown back up again. So
I love that.
So there, look at them, Michelle. These are the things that nightmares are made of. These are just, it's so scary. It's so scary. Okay.
I think you need to up the game a little bit, and you need to get those little voice box things, and you need to like do some kind of weird song on there and attach it to the doll somehow. So when she goes to pick them up, it says something.
They make a noise or something. Yeah, you're right. I should bedazzle them. I need to add some flair.
Like, but
here's
you could
the deal.
do like Silent Night. That would freak her out.
Well, in the living room, in the window, because I just brought this in here for the recording, but in the front window, like it's like Tiny Tim. It's missing a so in the front living room, I have the little hideous people now, so people can see those too from my front window.
I love it.
We are responsible for some emergency HOA meetings. I'm just saying, my family is. So yeah, so that's what's up with that. But let me tell you what happened right before we recorded this.
Okay.
I'm going to get kicked out of this neighborhood. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I look down, and my husband has texted me, and he was like, "Hey, so and so from work is coming by. He needs to pick up whatever package." And I'm standing there in a reindeer costume reading this text, and the doorbell rings. And it's not the guy he works with, but it's the UPS guy. And there's glass windows like right beside our door. And you see him kind of tilt over. And I'm standing there as a giant reindeer. And I'm like, hey, but it's not the first time. I've walked through my neighborhood in a llama costume before. I've been a taco by the street. Like I don't know how they haven't kicked us out yet, but I'm trying. It'll happen.
So here's the thing, here we're talking about, crazy stories, crazy Christmas things, decorations, different outfits that you've worn.
Right.
And people listening right now are probably going, yeah, but what does that have to do with comedy? What does this have to do? Isn't this supposed to be a comedy podcast? Yeah, it is. But how do you think we get our comedy fodder? It's from real life. So you're either being crazy, like, oh, that's the crazy neighbor, or it's a comedian just getting some more material. And I love that we can take these family moments and turn them into a comedy bit for stage, because everybody has had some crazy person give them a crazy gift, right?
Yes.
We've had people that were like, oh, why are they dressed like that? Like everybody can relate to things like this. So I love that you are a crazy neighbor, and you have a leg lamp. You have a leg lamp, and
I do.
And it's not just hidden in your office. Like you put it out there in the front room, so the whole neighborhood can laugh with you or laugh at you. I love that.
Yes. I don't care. If I thought it was going to bring joy to people in my neighborhood, if I thought that it wouldn't completely, because I would do more crazy things if I didn't have a teenage boy living here or a husband that I need to honor, whatever. Because I don't care. I'd stand by the road and just wave at the neighbors in my reindeer costume all day long if it meant that it brought joy to somebody's day and they laughed and, had a good time, because I think that we take ourselves way too seriously. Too seriously.
And I'm going to challenge you now. Okay, I'm going to challenge you because you just said, "Oh, I would totally be outside waving at people in my reindeer costume." So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go down to like the Dollar Tree area or somewhere that there's some traffic.
Yes.
And I want you to film it. So take your teenage son with you so he could film you. You in your reindeer outfit, standing on the street corner with a sign that says "Merry Christmas," just waving at cars, and film it and then post it.
Your teenage son with you to film that. I bet he does.
And then post it. Then you got to post it on our channel on our Facebook page. You have to do it. You have to do it. I think it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know how much money you can raise between now and this going live, because it's going to take $1 million for my kid to go with me and film me doing that. It's not going to happen. But okay, so talking about laughter and stuff, we talked about how important comedy is
Yeah.
this time of year. So a
Yes.
lot of comedians are booking Christmas shows and things like that. And we know that the holiday can be the most joyous time of the year, or it can be a really painful time for
Mhm.
people. So it even more it's important to get out there and be doing these shows and offering people an opportunity to escape from some of the sadness of the holidays, the loneliness of
Mhm.
the holidays. We know in the last few years with COVID and everything that's been going on, a lot of loss has taken place, and comedy is really it's a release. It can be healing for people, right?
Mhm. Yes. Yes, it can. For sure. So, how do you go from a bah humbug? Wait, there we go.
Michelle, you really have a bah humbug hat right now. Michelle
I
has
do.
it's embroidered bah humbug.
It
I
is.
guess
It
it's
is.
fair warning for your family. They're like, oh, the bah humbug's on. Oh, leave the
What
room.
mood
Leave
is
the room.
she in today? Her
Yes.
clothes will tell us. Here, now I have my elf hat on.
Yeah, she
So,
has the elf hat.
um, yeah, this season, you have the seasonal depression. A lot
Hmm.
of people go through it. It's not
Yeah.
just comedians. A lot
Yeah.
of people um go through it. And so, like, part of it is a physical thing. So, like,
Hmm.
if you don't have the right vitamin D and the right melatonin and things like that, if you're lacking those things, then you're going to go down faster. Like, that's first and foremost. Um but the part of what we do as comedians, which is a wonderful thing, is we're supposed to be the joy bringers. We're
Right.
supposed to
Right.
help
Comfort and
people.
joy. Comfort and joy. It's a Christmas song. Yeah.
Yes.
Bring them
And
comfort, bring them joy.
that's why this season is a great time. Now, to help people go that. So I would actually recommend to anyone that is out and about right now, if you see a comedy show happening, and you know what? Go get some tickets and go to those shows. Go to the live comedy shows so you can start laughing, because it when you laugh, it does so many things to your body
Mhm.
naturally. Like it's a healthy thing to do. It help
Yeah.
relieves stress.
Yeah.
It cleanses your liver. I mean, I love that. Like, a deep belly laugh actually helps clean your liver. Have you ever thought about that? You're like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go to the spa and get my toes done and my fingernails done, and I'm gonna go get my hair done. I'm gonna go exercise." But have you ever thought about, like, cleaning your liver out?
I'm gonna go clean my liver real quick.
Right?
Just sit in the corner and giggle for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just
But you can't giggle. It has to be a deep belly laugh. So you got to go to the
oh,
comedy club for
oh,
that. You got to put
yeah.
on some
Maybe I should
comedic
do that
relief.
in my reindeer video. I'll just sit in a corner in front of a dollar store and just belly laugh. And when people are like, "What is this woman doing?" I'll be like, "I'm cleaning my liver."
Free liver cleaning here.
That's great. That's absolutely great. They're
We need
gonna
to do
lock me
that.
up. They're going. Do you remember that song? They're going to take me away. Haha. They're coming to take me away. That'll
No.
be yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That'll be what I'm singing. Okay, so as far as comedians and Christmas shows, like
Yeah.
this year I had somebody reach out to me, and their church was doing a Christmas show, and and they specifically said, we want you to do some Christmas material.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, especially new comedians, you could think, oh my gosh, I got to write a whole new act. I got to do all Christmas jokes, and they didn't necessarily want me to do all Christmas jokes, but
Mhm.
they wanted me to incorporate, Christmas material.
Yeah.
And because I'm newer to the game, I don't necessarily have like an arsenal of like, okay, when I do a Valentine's Day show, I'm doing my Valentine's jokes, and I do my Easter jokes, and I do, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So advice to comedians, because people do want that, right? I mean, they
Yes.
they
Oh, they
want
do.
things to be topical and in the moment, because they're having a Christmas party. They want Christmas. They're having a Valentine's banquet. They want something to do with Valentine's. So what do you suggest, Michelle? Just scrap it all and write all new stuff?
Yes. No. 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 That That's too much work. That's a lot of work.
Mhm,
No,
mhm.
you sometimes just changing your introduction to your joke
Right,
changes and makes it more topical. So instead of saying, oh, last week I did such and such, or last year I did such, you could be like, you know what? This past Christmas, I gave da da da, da," and you could just add in these things. Oh, when we were visiting for Thanksgiving, da 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 da. You
right,
just add in those. On Valentine's Day, my husband gave da da da. You just add
right.
in the intro. You can help change your joke like that. Like that's a first thing. Um, Another thing always is like if you're doing a Christmas show and you're at a certain event. I mean, this is kind of common sense, but we still got to talk about because it's maybe not common for everybody. But if you're at a particular place, acknowledge where you are. So if you're
Mhm.
doing a corporate event and you're working for like McDonald's, don't start talking about Burger King.
Right,
You know,
right,
you're like,
right,
I love going to Burger King. Wait, you're doing a McDonald's corporation.
right,
So like,
right.
I know we talked about that in a previous episode about knowing,
Yeah,
read the
yeah,
room basically. Um, so if it's a Christmas show, then have some stories about gift giving. Have some stories
right.
about crazy gifts or good gifts. Make sure you have some stories about, shoppers, because like that's always shopping can cover Valentine's Day, can cover, 4th of July, it can cover Christmas, it can cover
Right,
shopping is a
right.
great subject to cover all year round. You
But I
just
definitely think you've
change the
got
season.
to, that's one of those we go back to the episode of pay attention to the person in front of you,
Mhm.
as well, because if you're not the first person on stage, then someone before you might you wanna make sure that, when you are writing that material, that it's not just generic information, make it very personal to yourself and a real experience, and that way, even if you are both talking about shopping, you're not talking about the
Yeah.
same general, you know,
Right.
topic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, like your story about the dolls, that it's been like a Christmas, gift-giving exchange, but that personal story about you and wait, was she your cousin or your niece? What was it?
Sister-in-law, my sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law, your
Yeah,
sister-in-law.
it's just yeah.
So, crazy sister. Um,
Yes.
so that you could turn that into a birthday thing. You could turn that into a Valentine's Day thing. Like, it's
Right,
something that you're
right,
competing back and forth, but it's a personal story about you in
right.
that so that's still kind of a shopping thing because you started out
Yeah,
it was a shopping trip, right?
yeah,
It was a Dollar Tree, dollar store?
yeah, dollar store shopping trip.
Yeah.
Michelle, pay attention to the details. They were very critical to that situation. Well, and it's like, okay, so I talk about my dad and his fireworks shows, and an example of that
Yeah.
is, if it's summertime, then I'm gonna talk about, we got through 4th of July, or, I'll refer to 4th of July, but also in the South, a lot of people set off fireworks for New Year's. And
Yeah.
so I just
Mhm.
change it from his 4th of July pyro show to his New Year's pyro show, right? So if it's in the
Yeah.
winter, we'll talk more about how we're so I'm doing an event next weekend. And when I do that set, I'll rather than saying 4th of July, I'll say, man, we're coming up on New Year's and hot dogs trailer park pyro show.
Yeah.
And so I just, make it more, but I don't write all new stuff. You can, it's fun to incorporate some new stuff, but also just, be creative and tweak what you've got. See what you have that you can plug
Yes.
into that, can plug into
Tweak
that
what
genre.
you got. Don't twerk what you got.
Michelle, listen, we know you hadn't done that for years and nobody's here to judge you for it. Okay. I saw you shaking those jingle bells earlier.
That's why it's out of
Now it's on a stick. Now your bells are on a stick. Oh my gosh. Sometimes we go off the rails in these conversations.
just a
Uh,
little. So
well, I had
tweak
to,
what you have. Yeah, which is
yeah,
really great because that takes the pressure off of I don't know if I could do this. I've got 1 week until I do this Christmas banquet and you're
right,
freaking out about
right,
having to write something that's probably not
right,
going to be that great. I mean, we're supposed to still continually be writing comedy and
right.
you find it from things in front of you, the observation, um, which clearly today I'm missing it on all aspects.
Stop.
Sorry. Um, but it takes the pressure off of needing to write something new and then refusing a job versus go ahead
Right.
and
Where you're like, well, I don't
accepting
do
it.
Christmas material. So you may want somebody else, right? No, yes,
Yeah.
you do. Yes, you do. Just take what you got. Okay. I have to show you. So Christmas jokes, they can go wrong. They can go really wrong. And I want to show you. So 2 years ago, my husband was the fire chief of our town. And 2 years ago, we were going to Sunday school Christmas party, Michelle.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, babe, I laid out your, ugly Christmas sweater for the party tonight. And he goes, oh, they're doing ugly sweaters. And I was like, yeah. They were not, but I thought it would be
You
really
lied?
fun.
You
I
lied?
lied. I just thought it's going to be so much fun when he shows up in this sweater, right?
Hashtag that's when the fight
this
started.
is the sweater. Okay. So you
Oh,
can describe
goodness.
what that looks like.
I'm gonna wait. First, I'm gonna get you a solo layout here so we can see. That's a goat. Is that what that is? Hold it up higher. Like higher. So it's a goat wearing a Christmas sweater. So it's a sweater. It's a red, white design, and then a black and white goat wearing a green Christmas sweater.
And he did have a bell on his neck. He did have a bell. Okay, so that's what I laid out for my husband, and because he was coming in late for the fire department, and we were rushing down the street. So we get there. I'm in the dining room talking to the ladies. He's in the living room watching football with the guys, and suddenly he just comes flying into the dining room, and he's like, "We gotta go. We gotta go." And I said, "What's what's going on?" And he said, "The country club, it's on fire." And he's the fire chief, and so we jump in the car and we're headed back to our house so he can pick up his fire vehicle because he has like a chief's car or whatever. And halfway between their house and our house, I see him like he's in his head, he's going over everything that's going on. And this was a massive fire.
Oh,
and
no.
and I said, what can I do? What can I do to help you get out the door faster? And he goes, I don't know. Maybe get me a different shirt. And so I did. I got him a hoodie, a fire department hoodie, and and he hops in the car. He disappears. But from what I understand, the rest of the night, everybody at the Christmas party was watching social media and the news and all of that stuff because they were all just like, "Let him be on the scene in the goat sweater. Let him be on the scene in the goat sweater." So that Christmas joke went really wrong, really fast.
So basically, what I'm hearing is you're responsible for starting the fire.
I did not start that fire. No, I did not start the fire. But yeah, so I had that one, and then one morning, Jason. So they're deer hunters, and I had a red clown nose, and he has like a deer that's mounted on the wall or whatever.
So Rudolph, right? You totally did Rudolph.
So one morning, Jason, Christmas morning, the boys were at the time sharing a bedroom, and Jason thought it would be really funny to put the clown nose on the deer head, take it off the wall, and go into their bedroom.
Oh no!
And go, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas! And they woke up with that deer in their room. My oldest son fell off the bunk bed. The youngest one just went screaming and running from the room. And that's how they started Christmas. So
they were expecting Santa and got his deer instead.
Yes.
They were very, very disappointed.
Yes. So I think that our kids should do group therapy together.
Definitely. Yeah. That's going to cost us a lot.
Yeah. That's the traumatizing. But then I think Trey got me back one day because his first grade teacher came in, and after school, she was like, "Hey, you got a minute so I can talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." She said, during rug time in first grade, where they just kind of gather around and sing songs and talk and whatever, Trey asked if he could get up and sing a Christmas song. And she said, I was like, "Yeah, sure, that'd be great, Trey." And he starts with, "This is a song that my papa hot dog taught me."
Oh, no. Right there, she should have shut it down.
I
She
said,
should have shut it down right there.
Teresa. Because she's a friend of mine. She goes to church with my sister. I said, "Did that not warn you of anything?" You never let a kid start a song that he said Papa hot dog. Michelle, have you ever heard Randolph the Bow-Legged Cowboy?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
She let him get through 2 verses. My dad taught
Randolph?
him this song. Randolph the Bow-Legged Cowboy had a very shiny gun, and if you ever saw it, you would drop your pants and run.
Wait,
That
what?
wasn't
Okay,
enough.
stop.
Yes,
Stop.
She
Okay.
didn't stop him.
So people could just Google it now and
Probably. I don't know where my dad learned it, but he taught it to us when we were kids. And it was all inappropriate Christmas songs. Okay, so that's first verse. She let him get to the second verse before she shut it down. So, yeah, it's Bowleg Cowboy,
Wow.
You Drop Your Pants and Run. All of the other reindeers used to laugh and call him names, right? Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, "Randolph, with your gun so bright, won't you shoot my wife tonight?" And
Oh, wow.
she went, "Stop, stop, stop, stop. Okay, Trey. Okay, Trey. Oh, we gotta go recess. Everybody off the rug." Like that was my child. That was my child in first grade.
Wow. Okay, you know what? Because you just brought up a song, I have a song that have some lyrics on here. Um, that I don't know if you know, because Christmas season is really about the birth of Jesus, right?
I do know that, Michelle. I
Okay.
actually
And
know, and the fact that you think I don't know. Surely you're talking to our audience. I don't know if you all listening, but like June, the way you live your life and the whole bow-legged cowboy thing, I don't know if you know that Jesus is the reason for the season. So go ahead, preach to me, Michelle. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what's this
so
Christmas about?
so the song, on the first day of Christmas my true love gave to me, like that
Yes,
song, what is it? The 12 Days of Christmas?
yes, 12 Days of Christmas.
Okay. So one of the meanings behind it, was actually, the Christians would sing that to relay messages or the message of the salvation of Jesus in that.
Mm,
So
yeah.
the partridge in a pear tree represented Jesus Christ, and the
Mm,
two turtle doves was the Old and the New Testament.
mm,
And then the three French hens was the three virtues of faith, faith, hope, and charity. And then the four calling birds, that's the four gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
mm,
The five golden rings is the first five books of the Old Testament. Six geese a laying is the 6 days of creation before God's rest on the seventh day. The seven swans of swimming are the seven gifts of the Holy Spirit. The eight maids of milking is
yes.
the eight is is the eight
Very curious about them.
beatitudes.
Okay.
What? What did you say?
I said I was always curious about those maids. Like, what's up with
Yeah.
what's up with those? Okay, so the Beatitudes
The
and
eight beatitudes.
got
So
it.
the nine ladies dancing is talks about the nine fruits of the Holy Spirit. The 10 lords of leaping is the 10 commandments. The 11 pipers piping is the 11 faithful disciples. And the 12 drummers drumming is the 12 points of belief in the Apostles' Creed. And so a lot of that's just all associated with the 12 days of Christmas, and is actually refers to the 12-day period of it's from December 25th to the Epiphany, is when, like, the manifestation of when Christ's glory was revealed. Anyway,
That's a
so
lot of big words. The epiphany and
it is.
manifestation and creed and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
But
so just
bottom line is Christmas. We don't want to bounce off of here without truly recognizing the fact that, Michelle and I are Christians.
Mhm.
We've shared that on here. We haven't tried to make it necessarily a Christian podcast, but when
Yeah.
Christ is in you, he comes out in everything that you do. And so in the Christmas podcast, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the birth of our Lord and Savior, why it's such a joyous time for us, because
Yeah.
this is when he came to earth, and the journey began for him towards the cross, where he died for our sins, and basically has given us the opportunity to be free and have eternity in heaven with him.
Mhm.
And we hope that for all of our listeners, and if there are people on here that aren't believers and are curious and want to know more about Christ and Christianity and why, because truly, Michelle and I haven't had easy paths. Our lives have not been easy. We go through things on the daily. Literally,
Yeah.
before we began recording, we were talking about the fact that in my life I've lost two babies, and
Mhm.
and Michelle and I have shared a lot of personal stuff with each other. And if you only knew all of our pollution that's been in our life, you would be completely surprised and shocked. But the reason why we have joy, the reason why we laugh, the reason why we connect to one another is because we do have the love of Jesus in our heart. and in
Yeah.
our life, and we know, that all things are going to work out in the end for us. And we want that for everybody who's listening, right, Michelle?
Yes, and one of the things that's really important to why I became a Christian really is, my heart used to be heavy with everything that went around me. Trying to be a good person or trying to
Mm,
do the right thing, and trying to be very moral about things. And it was a struggle that I was trying to do things. But when I asked Jesus to be my personal Lord and Savior, it was like a weight was lifted off of my heart.
yeah,
And so that's when I became free. I was free in him. Now, do I still have a lot of issues? Yeah, yeah, I do.
yeah, we all
But
do.
it's not a burden on my heart anymore. So I love the fact that I know that I can go to God with anything, any of my,
Yeah,
my issues of life. I can bring it to him, and he helps me, and he stays with me through every situation. He never
yeah,
leaves me. And, I didn't know that before, because before knowing Christ, I was trying. I had to do it. It was all about me and my effort was never good enough. So now, if I mess up, I mess up, and I mess up big about a lot of things, but he's with me in it and through it, and I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be
yeah,
okay on the other side of it. So I
yeah.
love him, and even though I don't, it's awkward for me to say, "Little Michelle and the Messiah, I tell you to take it higher." That's not me, because that's not my personality, to kinda rap that, so I can't, but I can honestly say that I know that God so loved the world that he gave his only son, Jesus,
Mhm,
not to condemn us, but to love us and
right.
to restore us to him. And so if you are, if you're still listening, uh, know that Jesus loves you, and that if you have questions, or if you're at a point in your life when you're like, what's the point? What's the point of living anymore?
Right.
Why am I even here? Go ahead and just talk to him about it.
Mhm.
I know my life changed when I stuck my little finger up to heaven. I'm like, if you're for real, you've got to change me. And he did. It was
Yeah,
the moment that I actually asked him to prove to me that he was real, that he showed up. And he's been with me ever since. And I just love
yeah,
that about him. He's a
yeah,
redeemer.
yeah.
So
I tell people I've done life without him, and I've done life with him, and I never wanna go back to being without him.
yeah.
He is the reason for hope and joy, and, and a future of.
Emmanuel,
Yeah. So
God with
yeah.
us.
So we
Yeah.
definitely we didn't want to, and talk to God, but also you could reach out to us, and I'll tell you,
Yes.
hey, Michelle is really wise. You should talk to her. I'm gonna confuse you, y'all, because I'm still I confuse. Yeah, I get things a little mixed up, but I know bottom line, and the final thing I would want to say is, um, you don't base, if you're not a Christian, don't base your thoughts on who Christians are and what they are and what they do by what you
Hmm.
see in television and social media and those kind of things. If you have any kind of job, right? So someone in the military, if they watch a movie about the military, well, that's not what we do. That's not how, it's a depiction of what social media people want you to
Hmm.
think. And a lot of times people think that Christianity is about people judging other people, and and looking down and pointing fingers and doing that kind of stuff. And that's truly not what it's about. And we hope that in the podcast that you've been able to see that this year, and feel our hearts for God, but also for you guys who are
Yeah.
listening. So
We
I think
want
that's
you
a
to be well.
yes, and I think
We
that's a
do.
great way to wrap this thing up. Unless you want to sing a Christmas song or something, Michelle. I know that you're probably the lead in the choir, in the Christmas choir this year, right?
I am. I love Christmas caroling. Like, that was something that we did as a kid all the time. And I'm just gonna tell you this quick story before we exit out of here. Um, my cousin, who's like, well, as tall as you, June, like 3 feet taller than I.
Yes.
Uh, we went out Christmas caroling one year. We took 3 steps. It was, 1, 2, and then we hit a patch of ice, and it was boom. We were
Oh, no.
flat on our backs. And so our Christmas caroling didn't happen that much that year. But we love Christmas caroling. No, I'm not the lead. No,
Oh,
I'm
I
not a
think Christmas
singer.
caroling could be interesting with a concussion, Michelle. I just imagine you laying there in your little elf hat, just flat out, and just singing from the ground. Michelle's not giving up. She's not backing off. Listen, okay, one thing before we go, super excited to share with you guys that for
What?
Christmas, as if this
Yes.
was in a 4-hour podcast, for Christmas, we are giving you a bonus episode. If you haven't heard enough, we're giving you a bonus episode so that, whenever you're hanging out with your family and they start talking politics and arguing and doing all of that stuff, you can just be like, you know what? I just got a gift from the Laugh Support podcast. Let me put my earbuds in, escape, and listen to Michele and June talk about how you can kill a joke. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We wanted to give you guys that bonus episode. So we hope you guys enjoy it. We have
killing
one more
it on
episode
Christmas.
after that. We got a New Year's episode coming up. Rick Roberts is going to be on there.
Yes.
It absolutely is going to rock that episode. So if you want to catch any of our previous episodes, you can find us on YouTube. You can watch it and see the leg lamp and see the reindeer costumes and the elf and everything else and the ugly, frightening little carolers. You can also see us on YouTube, Creative Motion Network on Roku TV, and you can listen to us anywhere that you find your podcast. All right. Amazon, Apple, Audible, all of that stuff.
Whatever.
Player FM,
You know where they are.
It's there. You can get it. You got it. All right, Michelle. Merry Christmas to you and your Legos, all of your crazy Legos. I love you. Merry Christmas. Jesus and Junebug loves you. Let them know, Michelle, that what's the little elf Michelle say?
Little elf on the shelf. I don't know what would the little elf on the shelf say. That would actually be I don't know. You're the alliteration one.
And maybe get
I'm
me
just
down. Like,
Get
why
me
are you
down.
doing all these strange
No.
things to me? I want to go back to the North Pole. I think I've seen some of the elf on the shelf stuff. No,
I
no.
know, right? No,
You
I
just
just
say
wanna,
what Michelle would say.
well, I just want to say in this season, God loves you. I love you. And we will see you next year for season 2. Thank you for listening. God bless.